So Tomo-chan is a Girl is another one of those shows you may not be watching, but you might be seeing some people talk about from time to time, and honestly, I'm glad I gave in and checked out these first 3 episodes. Episode 3 just dropped today if you're watching when I publish this, and honestly, the past couple of days been watching an episode at a time, and honestly, I get the hype. I really do. There is a lot of romance, there's a lot of rom-coms, a lot of those will they, won't they shows out there, and usually there's a good handful each season. And truthfully, the main reason I avoid this was I was like, oh, it kind of seemed a little cute. There's this girl who likes this boy. He doesn't really see her as a girl, and it's kind of like that will they, won't they. The thing that wasn't being discussed enough that would have sold me to check out this one a lot sooner is the fact that it's a lot more adult humor oriented, and it actually dives into aspects of like that teenage lust that you don't see a lot of in these shows. Usually with the whole will they, won't they, it's more focused on the are they ever gonna kiss, are they ever gonna hold hands. Yet this show, it has innuendos that I was not expecting, and we'll dive into a little bit later. But yeah, so I do want to make a mention of this. This may be a one-off video, I don't know. If the demand's there and people seem to like the video that I'm doing here, maybe I'll cover future episodes, but I will be covering this one on Patreon every single episode for sure, no matter what. So if you don't see any more videos, because this maybe just doesn't perform well, just know I will still be covering this on Patreon all the way up to the home stretch there. More reviews. Like, comment, show me that the love's there, and I'll keep doing more as long as I have the energy. I've been sick the past week, and I've been powering through these videos, but sometimes it does catch up with me. So here's the thing with Tomo-chan is a Girl that really separates it from a lot of the shows. Honestly, I can't even find myself comparing it to other rom-com anime that I've seen, because you look at Tomo as a character, right? She's kind of tomboyish, and she very much is in love with her friend, who she's been friends with since childhood, June. And June seemingly doesn't acknowledge her. And the first episode, I was kind of under the impression that he was oblivious and he didn't really see it. And I thought, yeah, that's all well and fun, but here's the thing, that can grow stale rather quickly. But after watching 3 episodes of this show, I'm kind of under the impression that he himself also likes her, but just either A, is a little confused on his feelings and that causes him to maybe not understand some things, but most importantly, the way he's so like doesn't want other boys talking to her, or the fact that there's so many signs of him blushing before acting like nothing has happened. It seems to me he has feelings too, it's just unfortunately for him, he just doesn't know how to acknowledge them. And the first episode kicks off with her confessing her feelings and him being like, well of course, why didn't you tell me this sooner? We're buds, and basically it's like the ultimate friend zone moment. But the more you watch the show and the more you see the dynamic, the more you just come to the conclusion of everyone else, like how aren't they dating already? And because both of them seemingly do have feelings, but there's this kind of like bro-ish attitude that keeps them together, and it's quite violent, I might say. I mean, both of them, they really beat the living crap out of so many different people, and honestly, the violent humor, the sexual humor, it all just clicks with me, because like I said, most of these shows, they typically go in the direction of, are they ever gonna date? Are they ever gonna hold hands and kiss? But there's literally a foot job innuendo within the first couple of episodes, and I'm not exaggerating. So there's this dude who comes over to June at one point, and he's basically like, oh, you know, you're friends with this Tomo girl. She has a really good body. I bet you two are really close. And because either he's oblivious or just didn't see what he was saying as maybe as dirty as pretty much anyone else would take it, he's talking about how like she's good with her feet and everything. And both Mizuzu, who is the one friend here who reminds me of that one Fruits Basket side character that was friends with Toru, basically ends up misunderstanding the situation, and then Tomo comes in completely furious because she also, when initially told this story, was like, oh, I don't see anything wrong with that, and then she whispers it in her ear, and basically it just sounds a lot more dirty than it actually was meant to be. And those little moments kind of caught me by surprise because I wasn't really expecting it to be maybe as raunchy as it turned out. Because here's the thing, it's not like it's the dirtiest show ever, but you have to recognize that teenagers who are going through all those changes and also have those feelings of romance, it's more than just wanting to kiss and hold hands, and the fact that they're not afraid to go into some of those details. I mean, at one point when we get introduced to the side character Carol, who is an absolute menace, she's like this, you would swear, an automated robot. Like, she just, I mean, half the time when you look at her face, she doesn't have pupils. It just is like a blank eye socket. I'm like, okay, what are we looking at here? She's like the, kind of like the princess of the school. Everyone wants her because she's like this sweet, innocent persona, but then she has like this busty body. But the fact is, like, she just seems like she's a robot, and she's hilarious. She is a menace, and Honestly, I love her character, but she creeps me the hell out. There's this moment when she's trying to be the enemy towards Tomo, and June ends up helping train her, not knowing who she was trying to fight. And she, like, is very bad at all these different things, and then she starts jumping rope. And of course, someone with that physique jumping rope, there's gonna be some things happening. And June, being June, just looks dead-ass straight up and refuses to elaborate. Like, the fact that the characters aren't oblivious to, like, sexual innuendos or, like, references towards bodies, honestly, it's refreshing. They use fan service in a way as, like, a narrative tool or, like, a joke tool, but they never really linger on it in terms of visual flair too long, so it never really feels like it's trying to be raunchy or try to make the viewer say, that's the highlight of the episode. Rather, it's the highlight for the characters, and in return, those characters tell a really funny scene with it. And honestly, between the fact that there's a more mature humor about the general show, the fact that Tomo as a character, both her VA as well as her character, really isn't similar to that of any recent rom-com protagonist, June ends up feeling like he's starting to develop into someone who actually has feelings as well. It's not just that he's an oblivious idiot. To me anyway, granted, it could be one of the biggest misdirects. Maybe his flusterness and all these other moments aren't him showing that he has signs of affection as well. But I mean, when you go to karaoke and then you film our girl singing children's songs and then he is reflecting on that video after, yes, getting a kick out of it because it was funny, but showing signs of affection like, ooh, he's noticing her more as a woman now, it's hard to imagine him not having some form of feelings beyond just friendships, even if maybe he's sometimes oblivious to some of the things itself. I quite like the show. I think it's rather humorous. I think the cast in general is really good. Mizuzu was like the only character that I was a little teeter-tottering, do I just accept? But honestly, by the end of episode 3, I've really grown to appreciate her more. I think she was always important because you have these extreme personalities, but she was this kind of cool, calm, and collected. But the fact that she's kind of like a girly girl, but just not very extroverted, she's kind of like an introvert, and the fact that her and June dated for like a couple of days, and really they just were so polar opposite. She tried to dump him, but then he dumped her first, and it just completely ruined her world. I find the characters are opening up in ways that I wasn't quite expecting. I thought I was going to be able to predict the character personalities and directions a lot more because I've seen so many of these types of shows, but honestly, after watching 3 episodes, if anything, it's been subverting expectations strong enough that makes me say the potential of the will they won't they is so funny. It's different than what you're typically expecting. You know eventually it'll probably get there, and while I couldn't see myself maybe watching more than like 24 episodes or so of a show like this, I find myself just really eager for the future of this 12-episode season, and honestly, it has the potential to get them in a relationship and then change the direction of them struggling to be a couple sort of a thing, but I quite like this one, and I highly, highly recommend you give this one a shot. Very beautiful, different type of art style. I find it's very fun and poppy. I mean, opening for this show is actually one of the more fun ones you can watch, and overall, I have a great time watching it. But I'd love to know what everyone thought of Tomo-chan is a Girl, whether you just watched the first episode, if you've watched all 3 are out, or if you're maybe planning on checking out. What do you think so far of this show, and are you going to keep watching it? Do let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, be sure to hit that bell if you want to get as many notifications on the channel as possible. Like I mentioned, full live reaction is available, and future live reactions for the show will continue, even if I don't keep publishing videos here on YouTube for this wonderful show. It'll all depend on the reaction and reception from everyone here, so let me know if you want to see more. While you're there on Patreon, you can also get yourself a video shoutout like Emil Edberg, Eugene Lauren, and Ezebin is getting today. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.